Could Ozzy Trapilo start as a rookie, taking away that starting position from potentially Braxton Jones? Some around the Bears think so, and Luther Burden was called the steal of the draft. Is he going to live up to those expectations? We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host, there, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go to get into this content today, y'all. So apparently, Ozzy Trapilo may have a chance to start at tackle for the Chicago Bears this year. Notice I said tackle, not left tackle. There seems to be rising word and thought coming out of the Chicago Bears camp, according to Bears beat writers and reporters, is that it would be no surprise if Trapilo actually starts at either left tackle or right tackle for the Chicago Bears this season. This all comes down to the Bears willing to move Darnell Wright to left tackle if need be. It still seems like it's going to be an open battle in training camp, but this battle initially that seemed like, all right, you brought in Trapilo, you still have Kieran Amagaje, maybe Braxton Jones still has a better chance to land the starting tackle position. It seems like right now it is more of an open competition than I think what initially started at when it came down to it. So that's going to be fun and interesting to watch here, right? Trapilo, who has played a lot of the tackle positions, in it, but he has started, I think, left tackle more than right tackle in his college career. And that could be interesting, right? But I think overall, like when it comes down to left or right tackle, I'm trusting Dan Roushar to make the decision here. I think when it comes down to it, that's what it's going to look like when it comes down to it. And I think overall, like the Bears are coming into this camp with the right mindset and the right thing, right? He said, yeah, but it's going to be Darnell losing his job. It wouldn't be Darnell losing his job. It would be Darnell moving sides if that ends up being the case, at least from what I've read. Now, if you have heard something different, please point me in that direction. I love to read it as well, right? But, from what, I read as of this morning before I put the episode together is that Darnell Wright could move sides to tackle, which then could open up the position for Ozzy Trapilo to start at either left or right tackle. But Darnell's still going to be a starting tackle. It's just which side he's going to be on seems to be the question there. I'm not with that. I want to be clear. I don't want to move Darnell Wright personally. Like, I think that he's learned that position, and I get it. You want him protecting your quarterback's blind side and all that if you do move him to left tackle. But I personally think that Darnell, when you've developed somebody, it's not like he's a vet. Like when you've let him play that long at that position, but we'll see. We'll see when it comes down to it. Says, sorry, it ain't going to be. Oh, it ain't going to be. Okay, yeah, exactly. I agree with you there. Agree with you. I was about to say, whoa. Did I miss something there? But I don't know if that says more about how high the Bears really are on Ozzy Trapilo or if it says more about how low they are on Braxton Jones. I know a lot of Bears fans are going to want to have that conversation. You guys know where I sit. Like Braxton's, he's not great, but he hasn't been horrible either. He's been adequate. I think it's to say like adequate may even that sounds more positive than I feel about Braxton. Regardless, Braxton hasn't been as bad as some people make him out to be, but the penalties, the inability to handle the bull rush, that's one of the first things that I looked at when Ozzy Trapilo was drafted by the Chicago Bears is how does he handle the bull rush? Now, part of that's my PTSD of seeing Braxton Jones be bull rushed to death, right? But Ozzy Trapilo definitely handles that bull rush a lot better than Braxton Jones. Now, we can get into the minutia and the ins and outs of every aspect of playing tackle and where Braxton ranks versus Ozzy and things when it comes down to it. But one thing that I love, as far as the quote that we heard from Ozzy Trapilo, is he wants to play with controlled violence, right? It says coming into the new program, my main goal is to get on the field as soon as possible. I play hard, I play tough, but I also play smart and under control. I don't let emotions get the best of me. I try to stay in the moment at all times and stay focused and disciplined. The best offensive linemen play with violence, but keep it under control. I don't know about y'all. Hey, listen, Hearing that from an offensive lineman, controlled violence. That's what I want from my offensive lineman. Again, the penalties are right up there with anything that you can knock Braxton Jones on. The penalties are a huge part of that. So if Ozzy Trapilo's coming in already playing controlled and we eliminate some of those penalties and you can't get bull rushed, I'm almost willing to take the lumps that come with starting a rookie tackle if you're playing controlled, you're not getting penalties, and you can't be bull rush. We can work on it. And it's not like he doesn't have a solid base. It's not like he doesn't have solid technique already. He has a lot of that he can already build upon, right? So hearing that Ozzy Trapilo, along with Braxton Jones and Kieran Amagaje, are in an open competition for the starting tackle position, that's what I think when it comes. I love it. I love it. That's what you want to have, right? That was the one thing that I think me, C-Dub, and Bobby, we were all very, we all appreciated is the fact that under Matt Eberflus as the head coach, it wasn't necessarily about just where you were drafted at. If you came in and you performed, you had a chance to start, right? Now, Matt Eberflus was a goddamn head case, right? So that was a whole different thing. Felt it coming. But he was a head case, so that's a different thing. But now if you have better coaching there, but you're still allowing it to be an open competition where the best guys are going to get the most opportunity, that's what you want to be at as a team. Like, of course, you have your veterans that, of course, you have your positions that are already locked in. But for everything else, like the margin, I think you got to look at it, right? Even if you have Braxton Jones right now as a better tackle than Ozzy Trapilo, what's the margin between those guys? And then what's the ceiling of Trapilo versus the ceiling of Braxton Jones? Those are all things that you have to factor in there, right? I know the Bears are wanting to be a team that wins now. And so because of that, you can't always let development be the sole focus, but you also have to look at it and say, well, starting Ozzy Trapilo, is starting Kieran Amagaje. While maybe they aren't as refined as Braxton in some areas, but getting them these reps, having them start with these veterans, having them play the most snaps, that's what's better for our long-term future, right? And again, Braxton's still going to play. This isn't a situation where Braxton's going to be benched and we're never going to see him. He's not going to get the Nate Davis treatment, right? But I do he's going to play swing tackle either way. He's still going to get a lot of snaps in there. But I think that you have to look at the future of your team. And if they have the similar view to me, is that there's no way in hell, unless Braxton does something crazy, I'm paying Braxton Jones this summer. If you view it that way as well, I think you gotta hedge your bets. You got to hedge your bets on your future, and you got to hedge your bets with the player that you think has the most long-term future in your franchise. That's what you have to do. And I think that's a part that you have to look at it when it comes down to it as well. But we'll see what happens when it comes down. Because linemen have a good reputation in this league. BC linemen have a good reputation in the league. Absolutely. Great point there. Ozzy can play both left tackle and right tackle. Can't he? If he outplays Braxton in camp, he should probably take his spot at the tackle spot. Yeah, I mean, I think that like he can play, but I think you're maybe looking at it as maybe the right tackle is an easier position for maybe a rookie to learn, and you want to trust Darnell Wright a little bit more on the QB's blind side. I'm just trying to add logic if they do move Darnell Wright sides. Again, I don't want to move Darnell Wright personally, right? That could just be, that's why I'm not a coach though, right? I think he's come in, he's learned this position, he's played this position. Let's keep him here. But I mean, coaching, you have to look at a lot of different things when it comes down to it. Yeah, Flus said a lot of good things, but his actions didn't line up with his flowery words. Listen, preach. You're preaching to the choir here. He said a lot of really good things. You know what? Like, he was a used car salesman. Because if you just listen to Matt Eberflus talk, especially before the season, during the season, he said some stupid shit, right? After games, he said some stupid shit. But he always really sold you on some shit before the season started. And then by the time that you started getting to the regular season games and you started looking back and be like, wait a second, but Eberflus said, you're a fucking idiot. That's what it is. You're stupid, right? There was so much of what it felt like watching Matt Eberflus. He was just dumb. He just wasn't a smart person. But you know what? I'm not going to hang a lot on that at this point. We're moving on. It is what it is. We'll see what it comes down to that. But I did want to talk about that when with Ozzy Trapilo, that he does have a chance to start here. And if it happens, it happens, right? I'm trusting this coaching staff. And until we get to a point to where I start looking at this coaching staff and saying, hey, they're just saying a bunch of shit too, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. That's just where I stand right now, right? But moving on from that, I do want to talk about Luther Burden, right? Luther Burden the third, who was a pick in the second round that I personally do think that the Bears were going to pick either way, right? Whether it was at 39 or 41, if they were able to get Travion or Quashan or the running back at round 2, it seems like Luther Burden was always going to be on the Chicago Bears draft board, right? And not to say that all the preseason chatter around picks ends up being true, because that's not what it always works down to. But Matt Miller from ESPN has basically said that the Bears have made the best pick in the 2025 draft, saying this: Burden was my top wide receiver in the class. I'm counting Travis Hunter as a two-way player, and he landed in a great situation with the Bears and new coach Ben Johnson. Burden's yards after the catch ability is terrific, and Johnson's scheme has been elite at creating space for wide receivers. Burden likely starts as slot receiver with DJ Moore and Rome Odunze flanking him, but he thrived in that alignment in Missouri. Now, that's all things that we knew, right? We know that Luther Burden thrived at the slot. He was praised as a pure slot, right? Some of the questions come out about how he performs on the outside, but as a slot receiver, there's almost no holes to his game, right? And while again, I'm not letting preseason hype become regular season expectations for me, I do think when you look at the skill set that Burden has, it brings a lot of exactly what Ben Johnson needs in the system, right? That's why I wasn't as necessarily down on the Luther Burden pick as some people were. I think people were just kind of caught off guard by it because they expect a running back, right? And it is what it is there. But this is how you start building things, right? Luther Burden, I know that we signed Olamide Zacchaeus, right? Who we had penciled in as the slot receiver at that time, and that made sense. But now you've kind of made him even more of a gadget player. The one thing that is special in the NFL when you can get it is positionless players. Somebody asked me a question on the voicemail over should we prioritize positionless players heading into the draft, and at that time I said I don't think you should prioritize it. If you can get it, great. But I don't think positionless play is at a thing right now to where you need to necessarily target that and target that only. But that's what Luther Burden III could potentially bring to the Chicago Bears team is positionless play, right? Does he line up some at running back, right? In some alignments, right? I think Colston Loveland could line up at fullback. Some like this team is really taking on the identity of Ben Johnson. And I feel like that is what's best. If you believe in Ben Johnson, you want this offense to take on the identity of their play caller, and that's all great and fine. If Luther Burden at number 39 turns into a steal, right? And keep in mind, part of the reason he was there at number 39 is because his 2024 season at Missouri wasn't necessarily what he did the year prior, right? It was looked at as a little bit of a disappointing season. Again, I think when you look at the breakdown of it, he still performed really well, right? But a down season basically led to Luther Burden being there at number 39. If Luther Burden would have had what he did in 2023 and 2024, there's no doubt he probably would have been a mid-first round pick, around the 20s in the first round, right? But the Bears got him now here at number 39. And when you look at it, he was the number 29th overall ranked player by the NFL draft board. He was ranked 18th overall by The Athletic. Not to say that these things all are the end all be all, but if that talent ends up paying off, if he ends up being the 29th overall best player out of this draft or the 18th overall best player out of this draft, and you got that at number 39, that's tremendous value, no matter how you want to shape that up. Now, I know some people have asked the question of, what does this mean for DJ Moore? A lot of people have asked that. I look at it as more of a compliment. I think he complements what Rome and DJ bring very well. I don't think you're necessarily looking at it. DJ Moore just got his contract as replacement or not. I know people have asked the question like, well, maybe DJ Moore and Caleb Williams' chemistry isn't where the Bears need it or want it to be. Maybe that's the case, right? I'm not in those rooms. I'm not in training camp. I can't say that as of right now. But I think regardless of that, not looking towards the future, just looking at what it is right now, the Bears got them one. And that's what you need to do. From a draft that you came into and you clearly had to pivot off your initial plan, it's about where and how did you find value at. I think that's a really big part of this. The Bears found really good. Think about it this way: if you got Colston Loveland, who's going to play a lot, he's not going to start over Cole Kmet more than likely, but he's going to play a lot. You got Luther Burden, who's going to be your starting slot receiver. If you then get Ozzy Trapilo, who's also could potentially start this year from you, come on, right? Come on. Now, Hippolyte, there's some questions there. He's probably the one that I have the most questions about as far as what he's going to be at the NFL level. But Luke Newman, 0 sacks allowed in 739 snaps. Zay Frazier, 6 interceptions in just 10 starts in college. Kyle Manongai, 5.1 yards per carry, right? And the thing about Kyle Manongai that you got to look at as well, how many of his offensive linemen that he played with in college made the NFL? Are even slated to look like NFL prospects, right? As much as we talk about the level of competition, sometimes you also have to talk about the level of the caliber of players that you played with. At Rutgers, he played with 0 linemen that are going to be in the NFL. 0, none, zip, 0, nilch, none, despite playing in one of the best conferences in college football. And he still averaged over 5 yards per carry. The more I look into Kyle Manongai, the more I'm like, hey, I'm not saying that he's going to come in and be a day one starter or anything like that, but I tell you what, I keep looking at it favorably of what the hell we got in Kyle Manongai because the dude looks like he's about to be a monster potentially for the Chicago Bears. So I'm just saying, man, there's a lot to look at when it comes down to it. Shamar Turner as well. He's a guy that gained 30 pounds in the offseason to be able to switch positions. I'm just saying, man, the Bears may have done a lot better than what we were initially thinking. Crimson says, oh my God, absolutely a lemon vendor. That was absolutely what Matt Eberflus was, bro. Having the versatility at the position makes it hard to game plan for. Any of them can play in that slot, plus Loveland. BJ can be really creative, 100%. Right, and that's the creativity that the Chicago Bears offense has been lacking. And hell, the defense too, which Dennis Allen is going to bring. We've lacked creativity for the last 3 or 4 years, right? Teams knew exactly how they needed to line up against the Bears. What's the one thing that we heard? I can't remember which game it was, but they were like, yeah, we knew exactly where they were going to go. The Bears were going to go with the ball. They did that play 3 times already. This like no creativity. One thing that you are going to get under Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen is creativity on both sides of the ball. And not to say that creativity is the end all be all and automatically makes you like some amazing high powered offense, but it fucking helps, right? It helps. And that we haven't helped ourselves. We didn't set anything up. We didn't it almost seemed, it felt like we didn't have a game plan at times last year, right? That we were just out there reacting to whatever the defense did. That's not going to be the case for this Bears team this year. I can guarantee you that. That will not be the case for this Bears team this year. So, I mean, just when you're looking at those things and when it comes down to it, man, you got the Bears did pretty solidly in this draft. Now we just got to see how this coaching staff is going to bring it all together. And if you trust this coaching staff, man, yeah, it was crazy. The crazy part was that more than one team said, see, that's just super disappointing, man. Like when teams that and it wasn't even teams it would be different if it was in the division, right? When it's not even teams in the division, man. Like when teams just know what you're going to do, that's so disheartening as trying to be the fan of a coach, right? So, coaching is going to bring a lot better. And, and I know, some of you guys, I don't, we're, have some serious questions on, did we do enough on the offensive line? I know it's not perfect. I know as long as Braxton Jones is there, they're going to be some really big players when it comes down to, overall, man, I think we got some series that we need to look at and do. Well, the Bears have put themselves in so much better of a position, man, between the coaching, between the players that we have, or between the fit, right, and how those players could be used. Regardless of how you looked at Cole Kmet, let's not forget, first 3-4 games of the season, Cole Kmet barely played any snaps. And one thing that I believe under Ben Johnson is he's going to use everybody to the best of their ability. If for some reason Cole Kmet doesn't play a lot this season, I'll trust more that is because he just doesn't fit in. Last year, you didn't trust that under freaking Shane Waldron. Shane Waldron couldn't coach himself out of a paper bag, man. So, looking at this team and where it stands right now, I think that, it's not necessarily where we want it to be, right? And where the draft, well, it's not where the draft didn't go the way that a lot of us hoped that it would go, as far as the names of certain players. But like I said on yesterday's episode, it's not necessarily just about the name, it's about the performance, about the development, it's about a lot of those things that come into it. So I think that when it comes down to it, man, you need to continue to develop and take steps. And the Bears have taken a lot of steps. Do we still got more steps that we need to take? Absolutely. Right? But we've done something that, I think from last season, even at the start of last season in the preseason till now, you tell a clear difference in just the focus on the direction of this team. He said, hell, I knew what we were going to do. Man, listen. Now, and don't get me started talking about defense, man. The amount of times that we went into prevent when it was like, I'm going to shut up. Because it's going to send me down. This podcast is going to be a whole nother 50 minutes if I start going down the path I was about to go down. Because there's trauma down that path, and I'm trying to leave that trauma alone. But I think overall, man, the Bears have just, this has been a really good offseason. A really, really good offseason. Could it be great? It could be, but I don't think you can label it that till you're winning on the football field. That's just my personal opinion. I can't label it great until I see wins. I need wins. I need consistent wins. I need us to be not looked at as the little brother in the division. That's what I need before I'm willing to say that this offseason has been great. But it's been damn good. And it's been promising. And we made a lot of strides in the right direction that we need to go as a team and as a franchise. Now it's about, listen, now that the draft is done, free agency's done, we'll see if they bring in a veteran running back or whatever there. But now the focus becomes on, what do we want to do on the football field? What is identity going to be like on the football field? That's the thing that I'm excited to get to talk about. I'm excited about talking about actual football, X's and O's, right? I want to see some quarterbacks put in the dirt and it not be our quarterback for once, right? Those are things that I really want to see when it comes down to this, man. It just, hey, the Bears, I want Bears football to feel like something again, other than disappointment. I don't know about y'all, but like, while there's been some bright spots, while there's definitely been exciting spots, the overarching thought when you leave every season for like the last 4 or 5 years has been disappointment. I'm ready to go into a season and leave a season with excitement. That's what I want to do. Is for the excitement to build over the course of the year, no matter where it ends, to feel like I'm excited about what comes next, not trying to figure out how to be excited about what comes next. And that's where we lived at for too long as Bears fans. So, we'll see. Well, we'll be here to cover it. You guys already know we'll be here to cover it every single day is only we can do here at Chicago Bears Central, man. Make sure you guys are following us at Chi Bears Central. You send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on,